right, before I get started, let me say sorry about the loudness of the intro, but we are trying a new intro there. Just had the music too loud, but we will fix that going forward. But let's get into this episode. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about your microgreen business as a hobby and turn it into a real money making business? Imagine for a second what that would look like for you. How would it feel to transform your passion and your thriving venture that does not only fulfill your passion, but sets you up for financial success? Pretty exciting thoughts, isn't it? Well, hi, I am Mike with Mike Itty Bitty Microfarm and Microgreen Business Coaching, and I'm joined today by our co-host, as always, Andy. How you doing today?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hopefully, everybody has made it through all the coldness and the vortex of coldness that most of the country filled. So, thank you all for being here and getting in this episode. All right. So, let's talk about transitioning. If you're doing this as a hobby, how are you going to transition this into a business and doing that? So, we started it as a hobby. Pretty much we thought about that it was going to be a business. We had that mindset, and I think you need to go in that mindset, even if you are going hobbyist, that you're going to turn into a business if that's what you want to do. But we started very simple with racks from a restaurant that weren't the right sizes and lights hung off and everything else, but we got them cheap, so we didn't spend a lot of money. So when you're first starting out, not doing a lot of money, I highly recommend that. Get as lean as you possibly can, but still having good quality products. We still bought bootstrap trays. We still bought good soil. We still bought good seeds, the stuff that matters. The rack doesn't matter, just as long as you have a place to grow them and start. You can even start on wood pallets and, make a rack out of that, whatever you need to do. Andy, did you start lean or did you start just right out of the gate, full flesh?
Yeah, we started lean obviously, and just in the fact that we didn't need much, but we went straight to like NSF rated stainless steel,
Yeah.
racks and the whole nine, and got good lights and everything right off the bat. But it was only one rack's worth, so it wasn't terribly bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started out kind of light. We just got what we needed to get started essentially, and kind of let the business build itself.
And then take that money you get from the business, from your hobby or whatever you're turning
Yep.
into, and turn that back into the business, right? That's what you did
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. It's exactly what we did. We just took the profits and turned them right around and bought more equipment. And seems like that's a never ending thing when you just keep having to add more stuff to your farm, but you eventually catch up and get ahead, which is nice.
Yes. Eventually.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we spent $500 in the very beginning. You can easily start this business with $500, buy a few trays, buy some soil, a bag of soil, some seeds, and get some racks for $100 even. If you're buying a brand new rack, you can find it for about $80 to $120, depending on where you're at. So you can get it in very cheaply. The lights aren't very expensive anymore. They're cheaper now than what they were when we started. So you can
Yeah.
find some good quality lights cheap. So it doesn't cost a ton to get started. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. And I will tell you, the one thing that we skimped on in the beginning was trays, and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because we ended up tossing a lot of them right off the bat. So, go to Bootstrap Farmer, buy once, cry once, as I always say. They're
Yes.
well worth the money. Their trays are going to be significantly better than the junky ones you get on Amazon,
Yep.
for sure. So spend the money there for sure. If you're gonna buy something expensive, make it the trays, because those will last you for years and years.
Yep.
Definitely worth it.
And with Bootstrap, I'll commend them. Like we had probably 5 trays that broke within the first year. Might have been our fault. Might have been their fault. Just little chips out of them where you couldn't fill them with water anymore. The solid trays. Called them, told them there was 5 trays. They sent us 10 trays. They sent us a pack of 10. So they went above and beyond what they had to. But in
Yeah.
the 3+ years we've been in business, that's the only 5 trays that we've had issues with. We have
Yep. Yep.
probably 1,500 trays, somewhere in that range with all the trays, the inserts and everything. So that's pretty good. 5 trays out of 1,500.
Yeah.
That's a good method. Have you had any
Yeah.
issues with
I
them?
think we're about No, I think we're about the same. I think we've got maybe six at the most that we've, and it's usually on us because our dishwasher will be jamming them in there a little bit too hard, and we'll end up snapping one of them. But I will say, ever since they started manufacturing them in the U.S., we
Mm,
haven't had a single one of those break. It's all the
nope.
old ones that we've had for almost 4 years now.
Yep.
That have been washed and bleached and Xeritol for a million times back when we first started. And we weren't using Xeritol, and we were bleaching everything, and that probably didn't help. I'm sure that changed the chemistry of the plastic a little bit potentially.
Yeah.
So now we don't use that anymore, obviously, which is
Yep.
nice. But yeah, I think it was just a problem on our side. But most of them, I mean, almost all the original ones we still have are still fully functional. So, and what we did for a while until we started developing the soil press is we would just use the broken trays as soil presses, essentially, which worked out great. So,
Awesome.
But even when I reached out to them about making the food safe soil press that we're working on, they sent me 2 trays to play around with because we didn't own any deep trays at the time, and I wanted to make sure it sat in the deep trays
Yeah.
okay. And they mailed me one without even asking questions, so which was cool. Didn't make me pay for it or anything, which was
Yeah,
neat.
they're
So
good
they were all
people.
part of that development. Yeah, just a great company.
Yeah, overall, yeah. And you can pretty much talk to the people up in charge when you call them. I don't know who it is, but the guy seemed like he was in charge and he was on his cell phone that he answered the phone because nobody was in the call center at the time. So like, and he just sent us 10 trays. So yeah, that's pretty cool on them.
Yep.
I have a question to ask you guys, and you can put your answer in the chat if you would like. If you started as a hobby, put that you're starting as a hobby and going to grow into business, and what would it mean to you if you got to turn this into a business? What would that mean to you? Let us know in the chat, and we will talk about it later. All right. Then you need to analyze your possibilities for growth, for your business growth. Like, what do you want? You got to have that right mindset also of going into this. Like we said, we started as a hobby. We still had, I was doing gig work. Jess was on unemployment, and getting ready to go back and working part time of her restaurant job while they were still doing some stuff, not full flesh because, that stuff that was going on at the time. So we had some more time than normal that you would probably have, but we still had things that we were doing. So, but we had the mindset when we started that we were going to turn this into a business. What's your mindset? Is your mindset to start it as a hobby, leave it as a hobby? Do you just want to make an extra $1,000 a week, an extra $2,000 a month? What is your vision? And if you get that set in the beginning, it's going to help you decide where you're going to be and where you want to do and how you want to build it, the space you need to build that. How much space do you need to make $2,000 a month? How much do you need to make $1,000 a month, a week? That's going to make a difference of your space. Andy, you started out your space. Did you start out upstairs and go down to the basement, or did you just start in the basement?
Yeah, we started upstairs in our dining room, which is like a 10 by 12 room, I believe. Of course, we had to get rid of all of our dining room furniture in order to do that. So that was super fun. So we started up there, and then we eventually moved down into the finished half of our basement, which is the biggest room in our house, really. And it's still not even that big. It's like 12 by 18, I think. And we outgrew that pretty quick. But when we started, we kind of had that mindset of like, we wanted to make this work. We wanted to make it big. But you can easily start out and just be like, I want to make $500 a month or something. And then find that you're going to get to the point where you can actually grow it bigger than that. So it doesn't really matter if you start out with one mindset. You can certainly change it, but it's a lot easier to start, knowing exactly what you plan on going into, knowing that you can kind of plan ahead, figure out what your next steps are going to be and things like that. Because it's a lot like playing chess. Running any businesses to a certain extent.
Yeah,
You can't just watch like what the other person's doing and go, well, this is going to be my next move. You got to be thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead to make sure you're where you need to be when that time comes. So yeah, it's definitely just get that mindset early and hang on to it. But if you have to change it, feel free. As long as you're changing it in a positive direction, that's always a good thing.
exactly. For sure. And you have to commit. You have to commit to this.
Yeah.
Anything takes at least 90 days to be fully good at it, committed to it, that it's in your habit that you're doing. So if you're going to start something new, you have to at least commit for 90 days that you're going to do this business, that you're going to grow microgreens, you're going to go out and try and sell them, you're going to do all the aspects that needs to be done for 90 days. And 90 days will probably change your life if you want to do this as a business, because you're going to see the growth that's going to happen in that 90 days. I know we did. Our first goal
Yeah.
was to make our first $1,000. We did that in the first month. Our next goal was to make $5,000 a month. We did that within 6 months, and then we just started keeping that goal and changing that mindset. Like Andy said, keep changing your mindset, keep playing that chess game, keep staying ahead of people. Definitely great points on that, Andy. So
Yeah.
yeah, do you agree with any of that?
Yeah, 100%. And that's honestly why we have the financial goal piece in farm flow as well.
Yeah,
So you can visually see,
yeah,
your actual progress as you're making it. So it's definitely a nice thing to have as just a goal setting thing and go and always keep that goal out of reach, make it attainable, but keep it out of reach. So it's constantly pushing you to get better and try harder.
yep. Keep reaching. Just keep reaching for sure.
Yep.
And remember, with any business, it's going to be a learning curve in the business. It's going to be a learning curve of how to grow stuff. It's going to be a learning curve of how to go sell stuff. Your first appointment, you go to a restaurant, you're not going to be good at it. You're going to fumble
Yeah.
over everything. You're not going to say things right. But guess what? You have another opportunity to go to another restaurant. And then you have an opportunity to go back and talk to that restaurant. You might flub up like we did when we went into a grocery store. We didn't have the right packaging. We didn't have the right label. They still put us in there. We didn't have the space set ahead of time. So they put us at the top where nobody could see us. It's most people that shop. are down here, not up here. No, they're not 6'6". They didn't see our product. It didn't move at all. They didn't get it out in time. So it was a total mess up. Now they're one of our largest clients. So just because we messed up, we went back in 6 months later after it messed up and we got the business back. And here we are. So there's going to be a learning curve. We learn and we perverge. I'm sure you've had a learning curve as you go along in anything, all this, Andy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did a ton of research before we started, which certainly helped kind of bypass a lot of that learning curve, but we definitely still ran into some things. Like I didn't know anything about UPCs. I didn't know anything about, what needed to be on the labels. I mean, those are things you have to find out because
Yep.
each state, each county maybe even, requires different information to be on your labels. And that's the kind of information you have to know before you start selling to grocery stores. But yeah, I mean, luckily, like I'm a pretty outgoing person. So when I was talking to chefs and stuff, it was a little more natural, but I will say I was super nervous when I went to my very first chef, thinking, "Oh my gosh, these guys." And I would recommend not going straight to like a Michelin,
Yeah.
3-star restaurant or something, to try and sell your stuff. I mean, start small. Find a restaurant that's like either brand new or they're really upcoming, or something like that. And those are the guys that are going to be a lot more open to using your stuff right off the bat. If you go to like a family restaurant where they're serving like crappy food and it's all like they don't really have a head chef necessarily, it's just a bunch of people who know how to cook, you're probably not going to get much stuff in there. You might, don't get me wrong, but your best bet is try and find like that mid-level restaurant to start with and work your way up, and then that way once you get to the point where you're in a really well-known established restaurant, then you can start telling the other chefs you talk to, hey, I'm in this restaurant already, I'm already supplying these guys, they know that chef, most likely they can reach out to them and talk to them. But it's also a reputation thing to know that you're in one of these really well-known restaurants that has a lot of people that are
Yeah.
going through the door every single week, and it helps just that reputation, you're building it up. So don't go straight for like Whole Foods, start with like your local little co-ops and work your way up grocery store wise until you can get to that point. So
Exactly.
just start small and build at your pace, because if you build faster than you can handle, it's going to be tough, and if you build slower than you can handle, you're going to get discouraged.
Yep.
So really try and keep that good pace and just keep setting those goals, like I said, just out of reach where you got to fight for them.
And a way to speed up your learning curve, we have a course you can take that has one-on-one coaching with it every week that you got. Jess will put a link, I'm sure, in chat or in the description of this. You can do that. We are giving something away for free as well that she will have that you can go to and get today. But you can speed up your learning curve by simply getting a coach, getting
Yeah.
Andy's one-on-one coaching that you can pay for. Get questions answered you don't even know you have questions for, that we
Yeah.
can help lead you through, that we've been through, we've learned, and we got our curve sped up by a little bit by taking a course, by having a mentor. And now we can share that same thing with you guys and help you get there as well. So you can check out either one of us, Andy at Fresh Source Farms. All this stuff is online there. You can check me out, Microgreen Business Coaching. That can help speed up your learning curve. Andy, you also did coaching as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We definitely did. We did about 2 years, 3 years ago, I guess at this point,
Yeah.
took a really awesome course. And I mean, it changed our entire like the entire way we looked at the business 100%. It was like we were starting from scratch all over again. Luckily we were only about maybe 7 months in, so but at that time we knew that this was going to be big for us, and we knew that we needed help, because it's like you really have to talk to somebody who's been there, done that on almost everything that you could possibly run into. So we spent the time trial and erroring our way through a bunch of different things, but when you talk to a coach, you get to bypass that entire trial and error session and go straight to actually producing and selling and making money. That's really the goal. I mean, it's an investment. It's Don't think of it as like, oh, this is an expense I got to spend. You're literally investing in coaching, which is going to save you months, if not years of time, to learn what you need to learn to actually do this at this level. So it's definitely worth it. So yeah, definitely Mike and I are certainly open to doing that. We both offer different approaches as far as how we do coaching,
Yep.
but they're both equally as effective. And I know there's some people that have taken both of our courses, and they both have really enjoyed both of it. Because I mean, Mike's going to tell you things that I'm not going to think of, and I'm going to tell you things that Mike's not going to think of.
Yep.
Just how it goes. So,
And we
the
each
more
do
coaches you
something a
can
little
have, the more
different.
mentors. Yeah, exactly.
So there's
Yep.
just a little bit difference in what we do, and I've learned from multiple people. I didn't just have one coach.
Yeah.
I have coaches for doing business stuff, to do our coaching stuff. I have coaching. I have coaching for doing YouTube. I have coaching for microgreens. I have a lot of coaches in my life. You can't never have too many coaches.
No, definitely not. And you'll find they're all well worth the money when you actually go down that road. Believe me.
Yes. Yes. Speed you up. Let's talk about
Yep.
time balance a little bit though. you got to have time balance, like in your life. Okay, you still have to have time if you have kids. You still have to have time for your kids. You still have to have time to do stuff, but you may not have time to watch that favorite show that you watch. You know what? It's still going to be on the internet in 6 months from now. You can go back and watch it and catch up with it when you have time. Commit that time to doing this business when you can. Don't take away time from your family. Obviously, be with your kids, be with your husband, your wife, significant other, whatever. Uh, but have that time balance built in there and make yourself a schedule. Hey, when am I going to work on the business? When am I going to do this stuff? When am I going to have time for the family? You're setting that stuff up for yourself. But remember, I always say this to everybody that I do coaching with and everything else. If you're going to do this as a full-time business, 12 months a year, 365 days a day, you're not going to be able to take a vacation, because for the
Yep.
first year, we haven't done one in 3+ years because we're building this business still. I plan on 5 years taking a big vacation. That's our goal. That's what we have set up. That's our vision board, that we'll be able to take a vacation, have people hired to be able to take care of the business for a week, and we can go away. It'd probably be like 4 days, just because I want to make sure for the first time. But that's our vision, to be able to do that. So having that time balance in your life ahead of time, though, knowing that this is going to take time, but making time and carving that out for the special things you need to do. One thing I love about this business is I do have times that I can shift stuff around. If my daughter had a track meet or a cross country meet, I
Yeah.
can shift stuff around and go to that. I never missed one of them doing this business the whole time. No, did I have to take a vacation? No, but I was able to get to everything that I wanted to get to. So, Andy, what about time balance for you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's definitely being a business owner, you you work harder than anybody else, but you also have a lot more opportunity to be available, at least
Yep.
locally. Maybe
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily on a vacation right away, but you have a lot more time to be there for your kids, be there for your family, and no matter what's going on. When you get to the point of where Mike and I are, where we're doing coaching, we're doing, YouTube, we're doing all kinds of different things. It's a lot more time sucking, to the point where, but we're purposely doing all of these
Yeah.
things because obviously we're trying to, work on getting out there to get people to know who we are and hopefully be able to, follow us and help, allow us to help you guys get better. But it's tough to balance all that, and plus, like, we're also in the process of trying to move into a new space.
Yeah.
So I've got my existing space, I've got all my employees, all the other things that we deal with. So it's a crazy amount, but at the same time, like, I cannot go into the farm 7 days a week at this point if I don't want to,
Yeah.
because we have enough people working for us that are trained to that level. But it also took us, 3.5 years to get to this point. We just took our first vacation a couple months ago. And that was tough, to get away. But it was only because I knew I had a really solid trained team that was going to be able to take care of things while I was gone. Because, you can just tell somebody, yeah, go ahead and water the plants, no big deal. It's not like that. As if you've grown arugula, if you've grown amaranth, if you've grown bull's blood, cilantro, any of those kinds of things, you can't just have somebody just water the plants and say, "Hey, just hold down the thing for 3 seconds and that'll be perfect."
Yeah.
It's different for all of them. If they pick one up and it's super heavy, they aren't going to think twice about it. They're going to put 3 seconds worth of water in there. So it's that time, that time that they spend actually doing it for real, and you watching them and making sure they're doing it right. That's where you really get that advantage. But yeah, overall, as far as just general time management, that's definitely a key piece. And that's one of the things I love about Farm Flow, why we put it together, because it handles all of that scheduling for me. All the tasks are in there, all the inventory stuff is in there. We don't have to think about it, which is a huge time saver. So being able to have that regularly being checked and updated, was awesome. So that's definitely a big reason why I think we have the availability that we have kind of behind the scenes, outside of just the general farm work, because we have that managing all of that automatically, which is cool. So
Yeah.
definitely a nice bonus.
Yeah.
But
Having
yeah,
the
having the
seeds
freedom.
in there, that how much seeds you have and everything else, that's huge, because we just used to, okay,
Yeah.
we used 25 pounds, we got a 25-pound backup, let's order more. That may be too
Yep.
much, it may not be enough. Now I know. So I do love that about Farm Flow and many other things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, that was the goal, is just to, yeah, that's why I always tell people, I'm like, for 50 cents a day or whatever, you're literally buying peace of mind.
Yep.
You're buying good sleep when you go to bed at night. Because, if any of you out there like me, I mean, I know I wake up in the middle of the night and I think about different business things, and then I'm laying there for 2 hours. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I need to go back to sleep. But the nice thing is, oftentimes I don't have to get up at a certain time. So it works out. That's, again, the
That's
beauty
nice.
of having that freedom with a business owner. So
Yep.
yeah, the freedom is awesome. I mean, and knowing that you're in control of your own life and your own destiny, and your own success, is definitely a really cool feeling as well, just as far as being a business owner goes. That's one of the coolest things about it, especially when you go full time. I mean, then it's,
Yep.
you've jumped off the cliff at that point. There's no coming back.
No
You know,
parachute.
because you're never gonna wanna yeah, you're never gonna wanna work for anybody ever again once you start doing it on your own. So makes it tough to
That's
go
for
back,
sure.
but not that you can't, but it's definitely a nice plus to have that freedom
I will tell
and the
you, somebody
control
who's
of
done
your
a
own life.
business and went back to work for somebody and now doing a business again, it's the worst thing ever in life to work for somebody else after you've been in business. So,
Yeah.
and been in freedom on your own. So, yeah, I agree 100% with
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. You get away from all the stupid corporate crap that you have to deal with in real life and real
Yes,
businesses.
for sure. Um, Going further here, resource checks. So when you're starting a business, also you want to take a resource check of what you have. Um, do you have what your current financial situation is? What can you afford? What space do you have to grow into? What's your time availability? These are some of your biggest resources you're going to need to have. Money, time, space are the three biggest things you're probably going to need is being in a microgreen business when you start. Do you agree with that, Andy?
Yeah, 100%, and money's probably gonna be the biggest one,
Yeah,
because initially it's not that bad to set up, but obviously if you get bigger clients, you know, you can certainly add up, you know, as far as supplies go, it can add up pretty fast. You gotta buy seeds, you gotta buy, you know, the more trays, more racks, more lights, everything else. And at one point we landed a distributor early last year. We had to buy 12 racks and a whole bunch of other stuff worth of equipment because it was a big client that came on, but it was like 12 or $13,000 worth of stuff that we had to buy up front, you know, before we got paid a dime by these guys. So, you know, just some things to think about. But when you're in the beginning, it's probably more time. You know, it's just making sure you have the time, especially if you're working a full time job. You know, then you're basically doing it during the evenings. And if you're cool with coming home from your 9 to 5 and then spending a couple hours on the farm, you know, potentially each night, you know, and farmers markets on the weekends and all that kind of stuff, you know, just make sure you're ready for that time
yeah,
commitment as well. Because
for sure.
obviously the plants, you know, if you miss one day, 2 days, especially if you miss two
Yeah,
days, all your plants are dead.
done, done,
No doubt in my mind. But if you miss even a day and a half, most of your plants are probably going to be dead if you don't get a chance to water them. So,
for
you know, it's
sure.
definitely important. I mean, there's
Yep.
like a million little tiny lives relying on you to stay alive.
Yeah.
So make sure it's worth it.
Yeah, make sure that's worth it. Um, Another resource you might want as you go in this business is GAP certification, which we talk about
Yeah.
the last 3 weeks. Last week
Yep.
was with Carol. That is a great episode. If you want to know everything you need to know about GAP, watch last
Yeah.
week's episode. Carol was amazing in that, and she gave her email in that as well. It's a great resource. You can get a hold of her as well. So I won't talk too much about GAP because we covered a lot of that over the last 3 weeks and definitely last week. So check out that episode if you haven't yet. Next, we want to talk about setting goals. So we talked about this briefly just a minute ago, but setting goals is highly, highly important. I have goals on everything I do in my life. They're written down, they're on a board. I know what I want to do. I know how many units I want to sell of microgreens every week. I know how much I want to sell for the year. I know what our goal is to get there. I know what my goal is for YouTube business. I know what my goal is for my microgreens business coaching goal. All that I have goals for everything. So setting goals are very highly important. Like we said, set that goal for the first $500 in sales, that first sell, that first 500, that first 1,000, the first 5,000. You know, set them goals because you hit them goals, it makes you feel good. Make them attainable. Use SMART goals, which we went over previously. And that free resource is about SMART goals. If you want to get that as well, I do believe that is SMART goals. So make sure you're using the SMART goal thing so that you're making sure they're achievable goals. Andy, do you set goals for your business?
Not as much as I probably should, but we definitely have some, at least from the microgreen side and from
Yeah,
as of this year, the farm flow side. I haven't really gone too crazy with the coaching as far as goals go because I haven't had as much of opportunity to actually be able to get in front of folks for that stuff. So we still do coaching. Obviously, that's not a big deal, but I want to do more with that over time. But I want to get into our new space first before I go too crazy with it. So that's why I got this cool setup. This is at my house, you know,
yes.
so that way I can try and get out to more people on a more regular basis. If you're in my Facebook group, I went live on Wednesday just randomly as a surprise, and it went phenomenally well. Appreciate you guys all tuning into that. That was pretty fun. But yeah, that's ultimately our goal is just for at this point to hopefully get 1,000 active users in Farm Flow by the end of this year, which would be phenomenal. And then we're hoping to double our farm by the end of the year if all goes well. We should be able to do it. We'll have plenty of room. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take us to get in this new space. That's
For
been the
sure.
nightmare of my life right now, for sure. So, but that's our hope.
Awesome.
Big
Um,
goals.
Big goals. And Andy's talking about like future goals, you know, future vision. So we talked about the 500,000, 5,000 sales. Them are kind of short term goals, but what's your long-term vision? What's your 5, 10 year plan? I have them as
Yeah.
well. I have my 5 year plan, like I just talked about. 5 years, we're planning on taking a vacation. That'd be our first time. That's our goal that we set. That's that big goal. 10 years, I'm hoping to not be the one running the business at all. Totally hands off, just 10 feet in the sky, looking down and having somebody else totally run everything in the business. That's my 10 year goal for this business. So set that vision ahead of time. Like doesn't matter what it is. Put down, I want to make $1 million a year. Have that vision, whatever it is. Make it attainable, obviously. But what's your vision? Set them long term goals. What's your exit plan on a business as well? If you want to go really deep on business planning, when you make a business plan, what's your exit strategy? What are you gonna do? So that's my exit strategy. Uh, Maybe 20 years I'm selling the business or I'm turning it over to a kid, something like that is our big exit strategy. So having that and having that vision board, having that down that you can see every day and know what your visions are. And do you have long-term goals?
Yeah, 100%. That's actually why we brought our daughter in for that reason. So that way we can actually eventually hand the business over to her or sell the business to her or however it decides it plays out. But I mean, my long term goal is to really build farm flow up. It's something I enjoy doing. I really enjoy the programming aspect of it. And I think that's going to be a big success key for us going forward beyond the microgreen side. So that way I can kind of let my daughter kind of manage that aspect of it, maybe get her into the sales and marketing side of it as well. So she's basically building the microgreens business for herself, and then I can be focusing on other revenue streams like coaching and doing farm flow updates and things like that. So yeah, that's our long term. But yeah, I mean, we would love to retire in 10, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be beautiful. So that's the goal,
Nice.
but it takes work.
Takes work. You don't
Lots of
get there.
work.
You don't get there by staying at home and not doing anything. So definitely takes
Yep,
work.
that's it. Nobody's
Uh,
just going to hand you money.
Unfortunately, no. So make sure you stay flexible in your goals when you're doing them. They change, so stay flexible. You can change them. Nothing's set in stone on goals. Change them. Hopefully, you're changing for the better. You're making them goals higher to achieve. So, um, yeah, stay flexible. Let's briefly talk about business plan basics. We kind of hit on this a second ago, but business plans basics. So you have an executive summary, teaches you how to write a consistent summary on a business plan. This is just your summary of your business. Market analysis you want in there. Organizational plan. What's your organization look like? Who's working it? Me and my wife. She's the main owner. I'm just the secondary. However you set that up, you put that in there. What's your financial projections if you're writing a business plan? And we made a very basic business plan because we weren't writing a business plan for a bank. If you're writing a business plan
Yeah.
for a bank, you have to be way more detailed, everything else. This is just kind of our business plan that we set up for ourselves. It wasn't for a bank. So you can do very basic if you're doing that. If you're going to a bank to get financing, it's much more detailed process that you're going to have to do. Uh, but what matters is your roadmap for success is what it's leading for. Kind of gives you a roadmap. So you have a way to go. You have directions. You need a map if you're going to travel. I know we all have our phones now that have maps on them, but you still need a map. Still a map to get you there. So this just helps you lead there. Andy, I know you did a business plan in the beginning as well, right?
Yeah, but same approach. I mean, it was a pretty light version because we didn't have to go through any banks, thankfully. And I would suggest, as best you can, avoid that.
Yes.
The idea is to build your business with your own money, ideally. Not, and obviously to the point where you're not going to bankrupt yourself or put yourself completely screwed. But
Yeah.
that's really the goal, is to let the business build itself. And if you do that intelligently, it will happen. But if you go too crazy right off the bat and spend way more money than you should, and then you can't find the business or you can't get the sales, then you run into a problem. So, your best bet is always going to be to let it build itself. But yeah, you can do a really light business plan, and ultimately, what you're going to find yourself getting into is writing a lot of documentation for like how to train people in the long run,
Yeah.
SOPs, things like that are all going to come in. So you get more of that kind of corporate related stuff, but not so corporate that you're pushing people out the door because they don't want to be there. We're not doing like yearly evaluations of our employees or anything like that crap.
No.
We evaluate people throughout the process. So, but yeah, it's definitely good to have in place, especially if you've got a business partner, especially if they're not like a spouse or whatever, somebody that you're not married to that is probably going to stick around for a while despite how everything may go. Make sure it's set in stone as to what everybody's responsibilities are, what the objective of the company is, things of that nature, and you'd be good. I mean, it's really just a matter of making sure you've got a direction to go in that's solid.
Yes, for sure. Um, And it's also in there. There's some market research that you're supposed to do. So what's your target market, who you're going after, restaurants, grocery stores, home deliveries. So and this is just good to do, so you
Yeah.
know what direction you're going to go. We started out different. We started farmers markets, home deliveries. That's what we were going to do, and maybe sprinkling some restaurants if they came about. Now we're 85% heavy on grocery stores, so it changed dramatically. So finding your customers was different for us, than what we thought we were going to have. Andy, you set a target on your markets as well, right? You're
Yeah,
going
when we
after.
first started out, I mean, it was we literally were set up in our front yard. You
Yeah,
couldn't do any farmers markets because COVID was super heavy at that point. So we just set up a table literally in our front yard, which was super handy. I mean, we didn't have to go very far. So we just carried out live trays. We did all live harvesting, 100%, which is great. But the problem is you got to bring packaging, you got to bring labels, you got to bring a scale, all this knives, everything that you wouldn't need if you're just packaging things ahead of time. So but at
yeah,
the time, it was so brand new. Just the live harvesting aspect really drew a lot of attention. We had a lot of people that would videotape, what we were doing. They'd post it to social media. They'd take pictures
nice.
while we were harvesting. They just thought it was cool.
Yeah,
So it was basically free advertising to a certain extent. And then I think we got into grocery stores before we ever got into a farmer's market, because in that same year, 2020, we got into our first grocery store at the end of the year, and the first farmers market we did wasn't until the spring of 2021. So, but yeah, we kind of and it's a great way to get started. A farmers market is a great way to get the word out, obviously, to local people, short of using social media. Try and push that as much as you can. And I posted in my group the other day, I think it was yesterday morning. I posted just a thing saying, hey, we're a farm in Elkton, Maryland, yada, yada, yada. And I put it into our local group that has like 23,000 members or something in it. And it just blew up. I mean, it's like five or 600 reactions at this point. I don't even know how many shares. Last time I checked, it was yesterday morning. It was at like 50 or 60 shares. So, social
nice.
media doesn't have to cost you anything. I mean, I just literally posted that into that group and got a ton of interest, and had a bunch of people that PM'd me, a bunch of people that emailed me, a bunch of people that went to our website, and it cost me absolutely nothing other than the couple minutes it took me to write the actual thing up. So, but you can put money into social media if you want to. So when we were doing things in our front yard, I think we spent like maybe $10 a week or something on advertising just to advertise the fact that we were doing it to get people to come out. And then we would create an actual Facebook event, invite people, so it's just a good way to easily and cheaply build an audience, right off the bat. But yeah, once we got into grocery stores, that was fun. We started pursuing that lightly, and then we started getting heavier into restaurants, I think. But yeah, I mean, at this point, we're in just about everything. We're pretty
Yeah.
pretty diverse.
It definitely will take you a different direction sometimes than what you think. So be flexible for sure. And also
Yeah.
understanding your competitors. If
Yep.
you've got any in
That's
your
it.
market, if you got any competitors in your market, like we
Yeah.
have, we have like 3 or 4 growers that are near us in this area. Understanding what they're doing and what you can do better. If you're going in a grocery store, maybe not compete with them. If you're going to a farmer's market, maybe bring different stuff than what they're bringing, or do it better than them. Even so, and learning from what they're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Andy, I don't think you had a lot of competition when you started.
No, we had nothing really. I mean,
Nothing.
there was
Yeah.
nobody around that I knew of. I mean, we did some pretty heavy research and found nobody. So we literally not only were we the first ones, but we also had the struggle of educating everyone on what microgreens are because nobody had any clue, at this point. So and we're in a meat and potatoes country. I mean, most of the
So
people
are
around
we.
here hunt. Most of the people around here vote Republican, so they're kind of like total opposite of what somebody would typically look for with microgreen. So it was a tough uphill battle at first, but we spent the time, we put the time in, we made a really valuable website with a lot of great information on it. We talked to people all the time. I made videos constantly and posted them to our page, posted them to local social media groups, things like that, just to get the word out heavily and educate people as to what they are. And still to this day, and you'll never not have this happen, you're always going to be educating people on what microgreens are. There's always going to be somebody brand new that's never heard of them and has no clue. I mean, even in that post I posted yesterday, despite all the effort we made in this area, there was still a bunch of people that were like, I have no clue what a microgreen is. How do I eat it? How do I use it? So have those resources available and ready. I'd send them, hey, here's a recipe list that we have right on our website, and here's information on broccoli and whatever. So it's good to have those resources and that information available and handy for when you finally do get asked that question.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Knowing your competition is huge, and knowing what you're doing to them is good. Having all that resources and stuff going in there. Um, so to wrap up here, writing your business plan is good. Knowing your rivals, getting your target, your goals set up, all this stuff is key to getting your business set on the right foot and going in the right direction. If you're just starting out, or if you're just starting as a hobbyist, or if you're just starting your business, haven't got too far and you haven't done this stuff, go back and do it and get yourself set up right. So you know where your vision is, you know where your business is going, you know what path you're going to take, what your roadmap is, where's your map going. Know where you want to be, it'll get you there. So, Andy, any last thoughts?
Yeah, a couple things I would add, and I'm not sure if they're in the next couple episodes or not, but just get a business set up of some kind. Whether it's a sole proprietorship or an LLC or whatever, just try and get something to protect you, and then also liability insurance. You certainly want that's probably more important than actually having the business formed. And there's tons of places that do liability insurance. We do it right through our car insurance people, and they're fine. But I know like Flip and Next, I think, are also other options that are out there for
Yep,
insurance. So definitely, because if somebody gets sick, that would be a big problem for you because they could sue directly to you and take everything you've got, your house, your cars, whatever, as a result. So make sure you got insurance between you, and preferably also at least some kind of a low level business license, between you as well. And that'll just help protect you overall.
for sure. Definitely agree. At this time, I would like to go ahead and bring the screen up and thank all of our harvest members. They're at the 999 level, and how long they've been with us is on the screen as well. So we do appreciate all our harvest members. And next episode, we're going to go over space and equipment and preparing for expansion. And then we will see you guys in the next one. All right, it is time for live Q&A. So if you haven't got already a question in, make sure you get a question in to the chat. Live Q&As are only for our live members, our live subscribers that are here. And if you haven't noticed, in the members, if you're a member of the channel, you get to use the custom emojis that are being put in there. So Jess has been putting them in there. Some other people have been. So it's definitely something just a little fun and extra to do. So again, we appreciate y'all being here, and we'll get into the Q&A, and then we'll do a giveaway at the end. Ten entries so far, and we have 22 people watching. So if you haven't yet, make sure you put in hashtag Thumbcast for the giveaway. And if we got any questions coming in, Jess will bring them up. Any questions about this episode or anything, we're open to whatever questions you guys have.
Just wanted to start with thanks, Detroit Mike. I should not be reading and talking at the same time, guys. So he gifted a membership, and then we also gave away, I think, 5 today.
5. We gave away
Five
5
more today. So we've got a whole bunch of awesome new members. I hope you guys get to enjoy some of the perks and get to kind of see some of those members only videos and things like that you'll have access to. And then I think you guys get access to, at this point, the custom emojis.
Yes.
So you'll see those popping
Yeah.
up here and there. John Claus had a quick grow question. Do you add Agro Thrive to every watering or alternate? So
we don't add AgroThrive to any microgreens at all because we use the Coco Loco. They're not needed. We do use AgroThrive for our flowers and our lettuce. And always on the flowers, lettuce, when we're going to harvest 3 days ahead, we switch it over just to plain water. That's the only other change on that. But not on the microgreens at all.
Yeah, we've never used, other than when we were using Coco Coir and we were using Ocean Solution, we've never used fertilizer since we switched over to Coco Loco. That stuff's got everything you need.
Yep. It
Grow
is
some pretty
amazing.
long-term plants if you have to.
let's see, Facebook user, that was Cheryl Walden. Can't wait to go full time. Side note for Facebook users, hop on StreamYard.com/Facebook. And that will allow us to see your name. And then if you want to hit hashtag Thumbcast in the stream, you can also be eligible for the giveaway, and we'll be able to see who we're giving it to.
Yes. That's a Facebook thing. So
yeah,
not our thing, but
John Claus, what did y'all end up doing about the food safe retractable hose setup. I looked and didn't find anything like that. Not food safe anymore.
I have questions about that, Andy. So you might
Yeah.
know if you went through this. So is it because I've seen how you soak your seeds and everything else? You have the hose down in there. Is that what you need the food safe hose for? Or you need it for watering?
It's actually because they're made specifically for potable water to travel through, if that makes sense. That was the understanding that I had, at least. But
Okay.
and unfortunately, John, I have yet to find a retractable food safe
Yeah.
hose either.
I don't know of
So
one.
we're still currently using the same one because I'm like, I don't want to switch away from that. But at some point, I'm gonna have no choice. And I that could be Carol when she was there getting really picky because she was having a hard time finding things that we needed to do. So I'm not sure if that's a requirement. It's not on, I can tell you because I've got it right here.
Yeah, I haven't
It's
seen
definitely
one.
not on the actual Gap audit sheet. I know that for a fact. So it doesn't say anything on here anywhere about requiring food safe hoses. So it may not be a thing that's totally required. It may just be something she was suggesting, just kind of like a above the over the top kind of thing. So yeah, don't hold me to that one. She'd be a better person to ask for sure. But yeah, finding a retractable hose that's actually food safe is, I don't think there's one out there, unfortunately. So we're still using the same one, but we also haven't gone through the full Gap certification process yet. We're still in the works, mainly because I'm trying to get out of the space we're in now and get into the new space, and that's going to open up a whole new can of Gap related worms.
Yeah, I just
So
asked because I've been in the
thanks.
restaurant industry for 22, 23 years. We were in, and I've never heard anybody ask for a food safe hose, any health
Yeah,
department, any
yeah,
inspection of any kind. So I was just thrown off by that, and knowing like Gap certifications for field farms as well, like
yeah,
corn,
yep.
whatever they're growing. I guarantee they don't have a food safe hose out in the field. So this is
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, yeah.
so
I don't know if
that's
it's
why I
something
was
related to
horrified.
urban farming. Yeah, or like I
Yeah,
said,
I'm
it could
wondering if
just be
it's
something
ordered
that was like a
on like sprouts. Maybe it was a miscommunication on the word sprouts because sprouts are always
she
exposed
knows
to
the
that
difference.
water.
So
But she knows the
yeah,
difference.
she
I was
definitely
very
knows the
confused
difference,
by that.
100%. Yeah,
we will
yeah.
find out more.
Like I said, yeah. I mean, my guess, if I had to take one, it's probably just one of those like, this is, you don't have to have it, but it'd be really cool if you did, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
I'm hoping that's what it is. And I really don't want to get rid of my hose link. I love that thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
We love that thing. Yeah. All right. John Claus says, I just set up a 4-stage water filter for super clean water without going the RO route and strip everything out. I love that.
Yeah, you don't want to go the RO
Nice.
route for sure.
Yeah.
You strip everything out of there. Yeah, it's not good. Filtering, good.
Yeah.
Yes. Reverse osmosis, they lose all their nutrition. Sadness. Catherine says, I love that in your course you had us set our goals. I'm still working towards mine. I just read the 12-week year and want to use that system to achieve my goals. That's a
Awesome.
really awesome book. The
Nice.
12-week year is get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months.
Yes.
So definitely
Nice.
a good read. Love to see that.
If you read one book a year, you're in the, I think, 5% of people. So
Yeah.
it doesn't take much to be
I'm
in the top.
definitely not. I'm terrible for reading.
Yes. Hastings Chris, right at this moment, my farm has 6 racks capable of 120 trays running off solar panels.
Awesome.
That's
Nice.
really cool.
That's cool.
That is my
Yeah.
vision goal for when we're out of this lease and we're building our own place, is to build it with solar panels on top. That's my
Yeah.
goal.
That would be
So
nice
that's
because the
awesome.
electric bill gets real high.
The power bill gets really high when it's -9 and -30 wind chill. So yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't help either.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Facebook user, that would have been Justin Alexander Qualls. He says, I didn't see any microgreens booths at my Saturday farmers market. Makes it easier for me when I get out there.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and do yourself
Easier.
a favor.
Go ahead.
Go
Ian.
ahead. I was just gonna say, do yourself a favor now, Justin, and try and find out who the market manager is for that farmer's market and reach out to them now, telling them, hey, I'm a microgreens grower. I want to be in this market. So just in case somebody else comes in before you, if it's one of those markets where they only allow one person from each industry, you'll be the first one on the list. So contact the market manager as soon as you can and get that conversation at least started. Find out when you can apply, all that fun stuff, because the sooner you get in, the better.
Yeah, and it could be better that there's not a microgreen grower, and there could be worse. because you're going to
Yeah.
do a lot of education. So you want to make sure you can sample for sure. If you can sample, so you can get
Yeah.
that product in their mouth so they can taste it, so you can sell more stuff, because maybe nobody knows about microgreens. So it could be good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Sampling at farmers markets is key. You can get them in your, and if you get your product in their mouth, there's a good chance they're walking away with a pack.
Yeah. And even when we couldn't sample, we would hand out flyers like crazy. Tons of flyers, because we've had people that come back like weeks later and say, "Hey, I saw your flyer in my glove box from like forever ago." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to go get some of those." So get something in their hands,
Yep,
get
you never
something in their
know.
mouth, like keep their attention.
Yep.
John says, "I got my eye on the competition right now."
Always got to.
Hey,
I see you,
now.
John. No, I love it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
like
John's near
I've
you,
given,
isn't he? Yeah.
yeah, he's very close to me, but I give him leads all the time. I mean, I've said he can attest to it. I say, hey, there's this chef in Baltimore that's looking for microgreen guy. Go reach out to him. So yeah,
Nice.
we're working together to take over Maryland. That's our plan. I mean,
Good
if he and
job.
I could split the whole state, I think we'd be in good shape.
You'd be all right.
Yeah. I think you'll be just fine.
Yep.
Christina says, "How do restaurants usually pay, and do you give them a paper receipt?"
We give them an invoice every time we stop, and they usually pay within 15 days, 2 weeks time. We have a couple that pay us a check on the spot or cash on the spot. So yeah, it's across the board: cash on the spot, check on the spot, and 2 weeks.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. It's when he says it's across the board, it's all over the map. I mean, we have some that literally they get their invoice. We do all email invoices for the most part. So I don't think we actually bring any paper invoices to any of our any place at this point. But they you'll have one restaurant that literally the next day or the day after you'll get the check in the mail, after they receive the invoice, and then you'll have other restaurants that are 45 days overdue, and you're like, hey, any day now.
Yeah.
And it's oftentimes not the restaurant itself. It's usually the billing
Mhm.
company that they're actually using external of the restaurant. So just keep that in mind when you go through that process. If you're going to do email invoices, find out, if the chef wants to get a copy of the email, but also find out what the email address is for their actual billing person. So that way the invoice is getting emailed directly to that person as well as the chef. So the chef can see it's coming in, and then the billing person has to take care of it from there. But at least they both have records basically. So if you're using Square or whatever, you can usually do like a CC or a BCC option in there as well to be able to send the invoice to multiple people. But yeah, it's all over the map. We usually do net 30. So there's some that pay very quickly, some that do not. We have one that does cash on delivery. It's very rare that he actually has it ready when we get there. So usually it's like 2, 3, 4 weeks worth by the time we actually get an actual check handwritten for us right then on the spot. But yeah, it's set your expectations low and go in with a plan. That's pretty much it.
Yep. With chefs, it's all
But,
over
I mean,
the board.
yeah, all over the place. Grocery stores are a lot more reliable. I've found, at least. I don't know if you guys see the same thing.
Our grocery stores pay wonderfully as long as the produce manager turns in the invoices.
Oh man.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
go back
All
there
the
and
more
you have
reason
like
to
three,
email.
you have three, well, they still wouldn't, they still have to approve it and send it to their people. So it
Yeah.
still would be the same thing. But as soon as they get it to billing pays really fast. We don't have a problem with.
It's just when you go to deliver and they say, "Oh yeah, can you put that on the cork board for me?"
You
So
find
you
three
take it
other
to the back
invoices.
and you put it on the cork board, and all of your invoices for that month are there still.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But usually
Yeah.
if you say, hey, you haven't turned invoices in, can you get them in? Usually they'll put them in right away, and the next week you'll have a check for all 4 weeks. So it's not terrible, but
Yeah.
it is in the beginning.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes I'm like, if you guys don't pay us, we're not delivering it again.
I don't have
I don't
money.
have money to buy stuff.
Yeah.
So it can be tight in the beginning. That's the reason why we've always said grocery stores should be last on your list to go after. You should be going after home deliveries, farmers markets, and restaurants first, because they pay the fastest. But grocery stores can sometimes take some time because there's layers to it: produce manager, billing department, and then they got to send you the check. So,
And even with like the co-op, there's one lady in charge of writing checks for the co-op, and when she goes on vacation, nothing gets done.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's points where the
Jeez.
co-op, it's like you're only one store, guys, but it's one person that's authorized on the checkbook. So yeah.
Wow.
All right.
What a
Next
mess.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keeps life interesting. Marcus asks, have you been working with something like EM or compost tea? So EM, are you meaning like effective microorganisms? I think that's probably what you mean with EM
No, we haven't.
or
Yeah.
compost tea.
Yeah.
So
No.
that gets dangerous just because we are in a controlled environment and we are growing indoors.
Yeah.
Outdoors, those sound phenomenal. You have sunlight
Yeah.
for sanitation
Yes.
purposes, things like that. But working in a controlled environment, microorganisms and compost tea definitely are not something of the things that we use. All right, guys.
Yep. I agree.
Great.
The hey y'all is Josh.
Hey, y'all.
Hey
What's up,
y'all.
Josh?
He did not go to streamyard.com/Facebook.
He did not.
Oh, come on, Josh.
That's all right.
He's on his YouTube channel now, so.
Gotcha. Jennifer started as a fun thing, grew into a part-time, thought I'd just grow in my basement. Now in an artist mill filled with built-in subscribers, goal now inspired to do again, and in a second artist mill. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Jennifer
My
sent me
grandpa
some pictures of her new space before she even got to move in. It's really cool.
It
Nice.
is. Yeah, I've
So,
seen
I'm
pictures
glad
of
you're seeing
that. I
growth.
think that's huge.
That is awesome. Love hearing that. Love seeing more people do this, guys. That's what we do this.
Yeah.
Get more people out there and striving and growing this business the right way.
Yep.
It says, in the next town over, maybe set a plan to teach others to set up and how they can be part of their own community.
Nice.
I like the model. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Congratulations, Jennifer.
Yeah. I mean, literally, John and I are in contact with each other almost daily, about it, and it's cool because we're building two empires in the same area, which is really neat. So it works out good. Don't be afraid of competition. They can always be helpful for sure.
There's Josh. Hey.
Hey.
We're not y'all anymore. Just hey. Isaac, random Louisianans. Isn't he Floridian naturally? I don't know.
I don't know.
Isaac, random info. This morning, CBS Sunday Morning New Magazine did a segment on using pee as fertilizer. Oh, Lord.
Oh, don't do that,
Don't do
please.
that, guys.
No.
Do that in your own garden.
Yes.
Not anywhere
Outside.
else.
Don't feed other people that, though.
Yes.
Let's not.
Yeah, no.
Mark says, is the soil press available now?
It's close. It's very, very close.
pressure.
I mean, the prototyping is done. Now the next real phase is working with the people who are actually manufacturing it. They are insistent that I put some kind of details on the tool itself, like, our logo and all this other stuff. So I've got to throw that together and send it over to them. And then basically we have to get a final price, like completely out of the box. One order comes in, how much is it going to cost to have it made? So obviously that way I can get the price out to you guys. And there's also some additional bigger potential things that we're doing with that as well that I can't really get into yet because it's not in stone, but I'm hoping to be able to announce a really huge partnership potentially the next month or so. So we're working on that at the moment too, to be able to actually get that out to the public. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, once it's available, you will know, believe me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It works awesome. I mean, it's so nice because it's so clean. At the end of the day, we run it through the, our sanitation process and we know it's good to go. That's the beauty of having it built out of all food safe stuff. So
Yes.
it'll get there. I appreciate you asking, Mark.
Awesome. Catherine, I'm on my third attempt for growing beets, according to the itty bitty beet video. I am almost there, but I got damping off this last time. I'm thinking it's a watering issue. Yeah.
Yep.
It's most likely a watering issue. Also, make sure we've had a bad batch of vermiculite too that can cause dampening off as well, for whatever reason. So make sure that if you get your water dialed in, the next step would be make sure the vermiculite is good, because we have had come across a bad batch of that stuff. So
yeah, everything get covered. Everything
get covered, but it's not doing well. So yeah, which is our long-term growth, cilantro, beets, that kind of stuff. So carrots, So yeah,
man, that stinks.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say too, in the beet video, I'm pretty sure when you're watering the beets, You say, well, for us, it's about 8 seconds. So that's your water pressure.
Yes.
So I hope nobody out there is going, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to end up with way more water potential. I know we would. I mean, we water for like 2 to 3 seconds at the most, and it easily fills the bottom of the tray. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be 8 seconds based on your water pressures. Just play with that until you get it just right.
Yeah.
Everybody's water pressure is going to be different.
Yeah.
And it's different now that we're here versus being in a house. So it is less now because we got better water pressure being in a commercial facility. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Josh says people need to understand with education, this niche only expands. Yes.
Yep, that's it.
More people can teach us than just a couple people.
Yeah.
We all know something.
Yep.
All right. Farmer Cheryl, what are the insurance requirements for selling microgreens? Can you suggest places to get general liability insurance for selling microgreens? Now, I know, Andy, you mentioned some. And you use...
Yeah. I mean, you can use Flip, you can use Next, you can use, I mean, like I said, we could just go through our car insurance place.
Yep.
It was super easy. It was cheap. But I know in general, you're probably looking for, I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but you want $1 million in coverage at minimum. That's usually a general liability policy for the most part. And that's to make sure that you're covered, because obviously if somebody gets sue happy, they're not going after you for a couple $1,000s. They're going to go for as much as they possibly can. So just keep that in mind. But, and even though it's $1 million policy, which sounds like, oh my gosh, that'd be insanely expensive, it's really not that bad. When it plays out over the whole entire year, it's not terrible. So yeah, that'd be my suggestion, is just go for a policy around that size. If you're uncomfortable with $1 million and want to go with more, then go with more. That's totally up to you. But the higher you go, number one, it's a lot harder to find insurers that will actually cover you. Like, for example, I reached out to a couple other local car insurance places around here, and they would not insure a farm at all for any amount, so that's where a place like Flip comes in handy. That's pretty much what they do. So you can get whatever size policy you need through them. If worst comes to worst and your local insurance people won't do it. But yeah, Flip, I know a lot of people use. We haven't, but I've heard good things about it from everybody that I've talked to. So
we do.
Good. You'll never know how good your insurance is. Never will know till you need it.
Yep.
So hopefully none of us has experienced that, to have an experience to say, hey, Flip is good or Nix is good or whatever. Hopefully we never have that experience and we never have to speak about it. But you never really know until that happens.
Yeah. And Flip
is definitely want to have it in place.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. One of the great things, like with Flip, I don't know about Next or Campbell Risk Management that you use, I can hop online. So if I have a new retailer that I'm going to go through, I can go on there and say, I need to add this person with this contact information as an additional insured, and I do it myself. Yeah. And it takes 30 seconds. I can get a PDF version of it and email it to them immediately. So
especially like when we moved in here, we just added them onto that liability insurance.
Yeah.
Which that liability also covers you for your commercial space as well. So
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely nice, because I definitely have to reach out to my actual insurance company to have them put one of those together, which they're great about doing. Don't get me wrong. But it would be super nice if I could just go in there and do it myself.
Yeah, It takes 30 seconds and I get a PDF and I can immediately just send it on over to them. They're like, oh, okay, she's got it done already.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Isaac, I was thinking of using those little plastic souffle cups with lids for samples at Farmers Market, pre-packed. How do you guys do it? That's an option.
I kind of like that option, especially because you don't have to have gloves available. You don't have to cut things. You don't have to have water available to wash your hands. There's a lot of aspects that go off of that you just have that available, hand it to them. They can go on their way. Kind of cool.
Yeah. The only downside of that is your costs are going to be higher. Because obviously you got to buy, especially if you're having them take those cups, that's going to add up pretty fast versus just wearing one pair of gloves that you're just dropping samples in their hands. So just some things to think about. I mean, it can definitely work either way. We always bring gloves. We bring a little hand washing station, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cheap overall. And we will probably go through maybe 10 pairs of the throwaway gloves in a whole day. So it's not terrible. We try and keep them on. We try and keep our hands off of everything. That way, we just kind of stand there with our hands like this, purposely to not touch anything. It's really the idea. So, but yeah, I mean, it definitely could work for sure if you can find some really cheap souffle cups.
Even when we sample and we're doing live harvest sampling, we still use the cups, because I just found it awkward to put things into people's hands and they look at you weird when you just want to throw them in their hands here anyway. So we still use the cup, so we still have that expense, but it's not, for the amount of money you're going to make off of people buying once they eat it, it's well worth the cost.
Yeah. we always just tell people, just hold your hand out and we'll drop them right in your hand. And then that way there's no contact.
Yeah, there's always
But
that
not everybody
awkward
listens.
somebody doesn't listen. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They'll just reach up and grab right out of your hands. I'm like, okay, changing my gloves now.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Pat
not too
Dale,
bad.
similar
Either
question.
one works.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sampling at farmers markets, do the micros need to be washed? If so, does that change business classification from one cut agricultural product to something more complicated? That depends on where you are and who is in charge.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna answer what we do, but we don't wash them. We just harvest them off the
We know
tree
you
and give
do.
it to them.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. And in the worst case, if you have to tell somebody, we fully explain if we have to say, look, we literally put the seed on top of the dirt. It grows right off of the top. It doesn't even have to push through soil at all and get dirty. So like, and we tell them straight up, we don't wash them ourselves when we eat them. So we try and make people feel better about it. But yeah, you may very well be getting into a different world if you start washing them, especially there.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind. Plus, they're going to be pretty limp and gross because they're going to be wet, like right there on the spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed with everything Andy just said.
All right. Farmer Cheryl, is it possible to just sell microgreens through online pre-orders? How would one go about doing this?
That's what we did in the beginning. We did farmers markets, but also we did online ordering, did Facebook ads, connected that to our Square account where they just ordered online. We paid for them, and then we delivered them next week usually, but sometimes 2 weeks depending on what they ordered. And so yeah, it's 100% possible. That's how we started.
Yeah, I was going to say the one challenge with that is the fact that if you don't have the stuff right then and there, you obviously have to plant it. And some people are okay with that. Some people may not be because they're like, hey, I've already given you my money and I have to wait 2 weeks to get my product. So just some things to keep in mind. But overall, yeah, I mean, you can certainly do it through pre-orders online, but it's a lot tougher to get somebody to buy something online than it is to get them to buy it in person.
For
So you're
sure.
going to have a lot more luck at a farmer's market. You're going to have a lot more luck going out and purposely finding people than getting them to actually place orders on your website. I will say
Yeah.
that for sure.
And on your website, as we do, we put that the initial order may take 10 to 21 days. It usually gives you enough time to grow whatever you need to grow for them. And then it's delivered every Tuesday or whatever it is. So if they're ordering on a Monday, the earliest they get it's probably the next Tuesday, but probably will be 2 weeks from that Tuesday, most likely. Unless you have some extras left, because you grow a whole tray of peas, you're probably using 3/4 of it. So you might have a little bit less than that. That's what they ordered. You could still get it to them. And obviously you want to get it to them as soon as possible if you have that ability.
Yeah.
But we just
Yeah,
put that
and if you
disclaimer
have-
on there just to keep everything kosher when they order.
Yeah, and if you have the time and the ability to be able to add like quantities, so if you have all your products on your website and then you can actually update the quantities on the fly. So as you harvest things, you put them into the system and say, this is what I have available literally right now.
Yep.
Then they can go online and order only that, then that way you can potentially avoid having that long-term grow process from a pre-order. But
Yep.
yeah, we actually have removed the option for pre-orders completely off of our website. If they sign up, they have no choice but to get a subscription at this point. Makes our life easier. We just don't want
Yeah.
to grow a bunch of extra stuff to potentially have to throw out or eat later. So which is
Yes.
easier.
Yeah. How Happy Gardener asks.
I like that.
I love it. Hello. Are you growing hydroponically or with a soil mix? If a soil mix, are you amending it with fertilizer or not?
Andy?
Yeah, so we grow in Fox Farms Coco Loco, which is phenomenal soil. We've switched actually Mike over to it and Robert Meredith over to it, and probably many other people as well. It doesn't require any fertilizer whatsoever. It's great right out of the box. You can grow even long-term stuff, for a month or two. I wouldn't recommend it for like flowers like Mike is doing. You definitely want to have fertilizer for that because it's a much longer term grow. But yeah, you can easily do sorrel, cilantro, all the longer term items will be totally fine in that. If you're going to do hydroponically, your best bet's probably do like a cocoa coir and then mix in like AgroThrive or Gaia Greens or something along those lines for your fertilizer. That's how a lot of people start out. It's a cheaper option for sure. It just becomes very not like super time consuming and time consuming enough to where I didn't feel like dealing with it anymore. So we switched to soil
Yep.
once we got big enough.
And you're going to get much better yields out of using Coco Loco
Yeah.
and a soil base than you are hydroponically. Even if using nutrients, it's still not going to be as great.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously in nature, they prefer dirt. They prefer soil that's rich in nutrients. So you're always going to have a better outcome.
They're definitely meant to be in dirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Facebook user. I'm not sure who this is. Do you have a recommendation on a powered cooler to keep the product during the farmer's market? So,
No power cooler. We just use the
Yeah.
slim ice packs put in there on the bottom, cover them with a towel or something, and
Yep.
it stays cold, very cold.
Yeah.
Andy, I think you
Yeah.
did
I
the
mean,
same thing.
they don't. Yeah, we absolutely do. And they don't have to be refrigerator temperature the entire day. If it gets to 40, 50 degrees inside of that cooler, they're still going to be totally fine.
Yeah.
It takes probably 75, 80 degrees to really start tearing them apart. So it's not
Exactly.
awful. So yeah, just a regular cooler, no reason to have to do that.
I know a big grower. He does deliveries for 6 to 8 hours a day, and he just loads
Yeah.
his products in his car, and he goes out and
No
delivers.
cooler
And
packs.
no cooler.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
And he's been doing this for 5 years. So I think he's doing all right.
and I
Yeah.
just dropped a link to the Kona ice packs that we use in the chat. They're awesome. They're a nice thin ice pack, so they can just slide into the sides of the coolers. They don't seem to have a problem with freezing the micros if they have direct contact because they are a plastic cover on them. So not as many issues with freezing them as like ice would. And then
Don't put a whole bunch of ice on top of your products.
don't.
No.
Yeah,
I've seen that. I've seen it.
you're more likely to damage your product that way than you would be to just keep it cool.
Might as well just put it on
Remember,
the table.
for food safety, 6 hours. If it's above 40 degrees, you have 6 hours to get it back down. So get it out of that temperature danger zone. So if you're at a farmer's market and it gets above 40 and the farmer's market's only 4 hours, you're fine.
I still recommend keeping them in a cooler
Ice
with some
packs.
ice packs.
Yeah.
You're going to get much better quality product to the customers. I do see people that
Yeah,
just line up all their products they have and they stack them on the table and they just wait for them to fly. I don't agree with that. I always hand products fresh out of the cooler to the customers.
Yep. We do the exact same thing. We basically have what we call sacrificial packs that we put
Yep.
out on the table that we're eventually going to take home and eat ourselves. So
Yep.
that way they can still
Those
see
are lunch.
everything. We hand. Yeah, exactly. So, and then that way, like you said, anytime somebody comes up and buys, we just hand them a pack right out of the cooler. It's a much better option.
And if they take it off there, say, hey, let me give you a fresh one out of the cooler. And okay. Every time. So.
Yeah. They love that.
Yes.
Yes. Jennifer says, how well did your chickens break down your substrate and was it fast? Helpful?
Very helpful. Just not peas. They didn't like peas. They didn't tear it up much, but like sunflowers, the broccolis, all the other stuff. You put it out there, it's gone that day. Gone.
Doesn't even look like it was there.
Yeah.
It's just dirt.
Peas will stay forever.
Yeah. Bougie chickens. Florida original. How'd you know that? Mind is blown. I know. Yes. I remember things.
She's
Sometimes.
crazy like that, Josh. She's also creeps on people. So
Hey, I do research.
research.
I
Sorry,
research.
Yes. All right. We got any more
Research.
member questions?
Let's do members' questions here.
We are at
Okay.
the end and getting ready to do the giveaway.
Let's see. Marcus says that's why you have to check it out yourself with a microscope. At least compost tea. EM should be totally safe. Sorry, I got a delay of 3 minutes because I needed to stop the stream. Yep.
No problem.
And with compost tea, you technically use worms to compost and check for pathogens. Might boost your quality a lot. That could be great. Could be.
I just don't have one time to figure all that out and do all that and mess with it. But worm composting tea is awesome and highly recommend that if you're doing gardening for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Hoffman's Choice. I pre-portioned greens on a turntable with a glass dome. It works great for us. I like that. Fancy.
Turntable. Nice.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Matt Nino says subscriptions are my main money maker. Yeah. Let's see. John, we got a lot of
100%.
members, so
That's
I'm
the
working
best way
through
to
them.
make money.
Yes. Are you using the shallow containers for your stores?
We use both.
Both. Yeah.
So our mixes, blends, layered products are in the deep ones. And usually all like the broccolis, the micro mixes, the radishes, stuff like that are in the shallow trays, shallow packaging. But everything else is, in the deep ones. Andy, I know you use
Yeah,
the
we're
shallow
still using the
ones.
deep ones.
Deep ones.
Yeah, we're actually we've been using the deep ones since the beginning. We haven't switched to the shallow yet, only because I just have to design the new labels. It's going to be a nightmare. So
Label changes.
I haven't gotten that far yet. Yeah, it's going to be awful.
All right.
But yeah, it's on our list.
All the members. Just a quick reminder, #Thumbcast, guys.
If you haven't got that in,
Like
Get it in.
I've got 22 entries tonight, guys.
We have 37 people that are watching, 38 people that are watching.
Yeah.
So if you want to win
Could be
something that
38.
is free, we should have 36 entries because now we're down to 36.
Call
Hashtag
them out, man.
Thumbcast.
All right. Looks like we got a few more coming up. Do you guys want to answer anything else in the meantime?
We'll do
one more.
one or two more
Let's see.
Yeah.
if you got anything good.
I do.
Only if it's good.
Only if it's good. Oh, dang. No pressure. No pressure.
And we do these giveaways every week on this. If you guys are new to the channel, this we do cut these lives off, but during these lives, at the end of these, we always do a giveaway. Andy's got 3 months, 6 months subscriptions on Farm Flow available, one-on-one coaching. I have one-on-one coaching stuff that are ours as well, that we have on there. Swag giveaway and stuff as well. So
yeah,
free stuff.
Free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff?
Lions are playing soon. Go Lions.
Go Lions.
They got their old quarterback coming against them, though. That's dangerous. Script writers are at it.
Script writers. Oh, gosh. Sounding like Aaron Rodgers over here. Pineapple says, I love the name. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
How to approach your first restaurant with confidence.
Do it. Have your sheet.
Yeah. I mean,
it sounds simple, but have your sheet that has all your products on it, your pricing, and bring samples. You can reach out on Instagram ahead of time and see if they can go in, or you can just go in and go to the back door and ask for the chef. That's what we do. We have reached out to some on Instagram, but go to the back door. The back door's locked. Go to the front door, but usually it's unlocked, to be honest with you. And just give them the samples and ask them when they would like to start their subscription with you. It's really that simple. I know I go in the back door. Joe goes in the back door. There's a lot that do it. Go in with confidence and just do it. Andy, you got anything on that?
Yeah. I mean, we, as best we can, we always try and schedule an appointment with a chef just because, I'm not at that point where I'm ready to walk in a back door yet.
Don't be
Not
scared.
that we couldn't, but yeah, I know it's probably something I'm just like more thinking like if somebody were to walk in the front of my house and demand my attention right away, that's kind of my thought process. But I know for chefs that happens all day long. There's people walking in and out of the back door constantly.
Yep.
So we usually try and schedule them ahead of time, and it's up to you if you want to bring a pricing sheet. Honestly, like we've gone in numerous times and talked to chefs right away and didn't even have a pricing sheet. Oftentimes, if they know what they're looking for and they know the quality and they can recognize the quality, the price isn't really that important to them. Ironically, I know it sounds weird, but for the most part, they're not really as concerned about the pricing as they are, how is this going to enhance my dishes? How is it going to make more people, take pictures and post it on social media? And that's what we always try and really drive home to them is that, we can make a $30 steak look like a $40 steak. You're going to get a lot more pictures posted where you're going to be tagged on social media and things like that, because they're going to be like, oh, this is cool. It looks really beautiful, or whatever. So we try and really go in with that approach. And oftentimes, the pricing is kind of an after the fact, kind of thing. So we let them fall in love with the product, and then we say, oh, and by the way, that product costs this much, but there's also many times, don't get me wrong, that I walk in with a price sheet and give it to them right away. But I've definitely gone in multiple approaches with the same result, basically. And then we can kind of fill them in after the fact. But the biggest, most important thing is to walk out with the chef's contact information in some fashion, whether it's an email, whether it's a cell phone number that you can text them, call them, whatever. Make sure you do that, because ultimately, if they have your contact and you don't have their contact, you're relying on them then to follow up with you. So make sure you're walking out with their contact information at minimum, especially if they have any interest. But yeah, there's many ways to do it. But most of them are covered in a lot of Facebook groups, and between what Mike and I just said, that'll definitely get you started for sure.
Yep.
Awesome. I think we saw one. Shua Lee had a Thuncast. Make sure it's an M, not an N. That spell check will get you sometimes, or the thumbs on a phone. Make sure it's Thumbacast. Thumbacast.
The B, not a P.
The B, not a P, and not an N, M, not an N, all that. Make sure you guys are able to get into that drawing. And I think I saw one more that I found interesting, and I got to find it.
Okay.
Man plants. Some of my trays seem to be too dry on the edges and too wet in the center on harvest day. Any recommendations? I'm using Pro Mix, haven't been using fans much, and have low humidity.
Andy?
Yeah, the Pro Mix certainly isn't going to help. Unfortunately, it does dry out a lot faster than other soils, so that's certainly going to work against you. And having, I don't know what you consider low humidity, but if it's like in the teens or in the low 20s or even the high 20s, that may be partly why it's drying out so fast as well, because there's no humidity in the air. So yeah, those are two things to think about. But the Pro Mix definitely, without a doubt, we ran into the same thing when we temporarily tried Pro Mix. So you may either have to increase your watering, or you may, and it's probably unlikely. It just depends on what kind of trays you're using. But if they could very well be like kind of, I guess it's the
Yeah.
opposite, where the outer edges aren't touching the bottom of the tray as much as the
Mhm.
middle is, if that makes sense. So they could be a little bit warped. So just check that. But it's most likely because of the Pro Mix and the really low humidity.
Yeah. I would say that's most likely, but I would also check your trays and make sure they're level on there and there is no bowing for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because if they're tilted really hardcore, then you're going to find that this side's going to be really dry because all the water runs down to the other side. I mean, I'm over
Mhm.
exaggerating for obvious reasons, but
Obviously, yeah.
you know, it's definitely a good point.
All right. So I've got
All right.
27 entries, 28
All right.
entries.
Getting there.
All right, we're getting there.
All right. I think
Let
we're
me
probably
share
ready
that
then.
screen with you kids. Let's see.
And then
Let's
if
see,
you
we're gonna-
do win, and Andy will pick out who he thinks is going to win, but if you do win, make sure you're ready to put in how many times you want Jess to click the mouse for the spinning wheel to find out what you win from 1 to 30. The quicker you can get that in, the better. If you don't do it quick enough, we pick 7 for you.
Yep.
It's the default number.
I'm going to go with Jennifer Falco this week.
Jennifer
All
Falco.
right.
That's my pick.
Let me put you guys there.
I'm going to pick.
Oh, whoa.
I'm going to pick somebody as well. I'm going to go with Marcus.
Oh,
Going with
Ah.
Marcus here.
2 picks here. All right. Let's see. We've got 28 entries still. Ready?
All right. I think it's stable. Let's
I think
go.
we're stable.
Yep. Let's do it.
Let's see if
Good
me
luck,
and Randy
everybody.
win.
We win nothing, unfortunately, but it's
Yeah.
still fun.
Oh,
Hoffman's
Hey, Hoffman's choice.
Choice.
Nice.
Hey,
I think this
awesome.
is maybe the second time Hoffman's Choice has won.
Yeah,
think
I
so.
believe so. I think he
Yeah.
won pretty early on
Yeah.
when we first started going on.
Congratulations, Hoffman's Choice.
Congratulations. And
Yeah,
then
congrats.
Go ahead and tell us how many times you want Jess to click that as she brings up the wheel. The wheel of winning, I guess
Wheel
we'll call
of
it.
winning. Yeah.
The wheel of prizes.
It's called the Wheel
The
of
Wheel of
Names.
Winning.
but
The wheel of winning.
yeah,
You can see
it's-
all that
Wheel of
fun stuff
Winning.
on there. I will say our course stuff is on there. If you do win that, we are certainly changing that a little bit. So we will get a hold of you what you win if you win that course stuff. It's still a course stuff, but it's just changing platform.
So I just got booted for a second. So give me a second.
Oh.
On that.
Jess got kicked off,
Hold on.
and I didn't see that. She's
Oh,
like,
man.
you guys should see our back end stuff. This is gonna be cut off. There's like me and Andy, and then Jess as the producer has got like 5 screens down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing stuff. So she has a lot going on back there to take care of us.
So when I shared the Wheel of Names, and then it was like, no, we're not. Let's see.
We recommend just answer this while Jess is getting that figured up. We both use Coco Loco now.
Yeah.
Really like that soil. It holds water really good. You have to water less and everything else. So that's what we recommend. If you're looking to go organic, you're going to have to deal with some of the drying out stuff. You're going to have to do a Pro Mix MP or MP. Yeah, MP.
Yeah,
Something
MP,
like that. So, and you're just going to have to deal with that. But, there is another one out there.
I want
but
to
it's
clarify that it's,
Go
yeah, I want to
ahead.
clarify that it's Fox Farms Coco Loco.
Yes.
Fox Farms
Fox
is the actual maker.
Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of people get Coco Loco and Coco Quar confused. So I want to make sure
Yes.
there wasn't any confusion there. But yeah, that soil's amazing. We've been lucky to find it very early on in our journey, and we've definitely converted a lot of people over to that one. So
Our yields
look in
are-
your local garden centers and stuff like that. See if you can find it.
Our yields are up 30% difference. So
Yeah.
grow a lot less trays, so
It's
you use a lot
insane.
less, so you make a lot more money. It's amazing. Highly recommend it. And we get it from a distributor, so we get it at a really good price. But
Yeah.
not everybody can do that.
Not yet. When they get
Yeah.
bigger, they can. All right,
And
kids.
neither one of us are affiliated with Fox Farms in any way, shape, or form. This is just us recommending them because their stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, can't recommend
Did
them
we get
enough.
a number of clicks that I needed? I did not see that.
We didn't
I don't
get
think we
the number of
did.
clicks, so go ahead and spin it 7 times.
7 it is. Coco Loco is not organic, unfortunately.
No.
I saw somebody pop
Yeah,
up.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
Everything they put in there should be, but they don't care about getting organic certified. So
All right.
Yeah,
7 clicks.
That's really what it boils down to.
good luck, Hoffman's Choice, if you're still here. If you're not, just
hopefully
make
it
sure
is.
you get a hold of us.
Oh,
Oh,
T-shirt.
Hey, a
T-shirt.
Film Guest t-shirt.
hey.
Heck yeah.
All right. Congratulations. We get a hold of me at Mike at Microgreen Business Coaching, and we'll get your sizes, your size, and your address, and all that fun information to be able to send that out to you. So, congratulations.
Sweet.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Any closing remarks, boys?
No, I don't think so. Andy, got anything?
No, I think we're good. I mean, if you're just starting out, go for it. At least try. I mean, you're going to find that it's going to grow a lot faster than you think it would. I know we were in that boat, considering we started in May of 2020 when COVID was at its worst. And, we literally set up in our front yard and we were able to make it fly. And literally a year and a half later, we were moving into a 2,000 square foot facility, to expand our operation. So it can go very quick if you allow it, but focus on sales, focus on marketing, learn those two things. That's going to be a big piece of your success. Growing the microgreens is the easy part. Selling them and getting people to understand that they're a thing, that's the hard part. So, definitely do some research on business and marketing, and that'll cover everything. No matter what business you ever do, it's always good to know how to do those two things. So, but just get started, even if it's a little bit, if it's just for yourself, it's definitely a fun thing to do, and it can get big if you let it.
And sometimes it'll get bigger than what you think it was going to get, or faster than it's going to be get. And you have to make some life decisions on which way you want to go, which is a fun way to go, fun decision to make. But the business is out there. Like Andy said, get started, get going, make this year the best year yet for you. And we'll be here to help you. And we will see
Get a
you
coach.
next week. Get a coach.
Get a
See you
coach.
guys next week.